Welcome back to Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. This is part 2 of 3 of a review of Monday Night Raw from August 19th, 2013 from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. This is Hour 2. And we begin Hour 2 with Dolph Ziggler taking on Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in a 3-on-1 handicap match. Dolph Ziggler is the single person in this match, while the Shield have to tag in with one another in order to make this a fair contest for Mr. Ziggler, in the small, tiny, minuscule chance that he actually has at winning this matchup. Anyway, the Shield proceeds to double-team Dolph Ziggler for the majority of this match, as Ambrose and Rollins act as the proverbial disruptor and bowling pin, while Roman Reigns acts as the spear that ends anything. Anything! Or anything and everything in this matchup. And he proceeds to do that to Dolph Ziggler, who sells really well in that spot. It looks like he's been broken in half, but really isn't. It was a really solid psychology-heavy match that was really enjoyable. Although Seth Rollins almost injured his knee in that segment. Please be careful, Seth. And now, for an infomercial segment. Are you having trouble with those stubborn Injustice walls that just simply won't budge from a sledgehammer shot? Are you tired of those palm trees that constantly block the sunlight, causing you to have an Injustice uneven tan? Are you having trouble with your friends who constantly mock you and saying Injustice things? Well, all those injustices will be solved with this, the Roman Reigns spear that ends everything and anything. Everything and anything. Just apply one dose of the Roman Reigns spear that ends anything and watch those stubborn walls be obliterated to pieces. Justice is served. Palm trees letting you down? Justice is served as Roman Reigns hits the spear that ends anything and everything on those stubborn palm trees, so you get that proper tan. Friends letting you down? Yeah, just apply one dose of the Roman Reigns spear that ends anything to those stubborn friendships. Besides, you're the heel now. And that means that you're the good one in this relationship. Anything and everything can be possibly solved by the Roman Reigns spear that ends anything. Just order right now within the next 30 minutes, and you will receive a free triple powerbomb on one of your enemies. That's if you just call within the next 30 minutes. Here's the number right now, 1-800-INJUSTICE. 1-800-INJUSTICE to order the Roman Reigns spear that ends anything, and order within the next 30 minutes to receive your complimentary triple powerbomb on one of your enemies. That's 1-800-INJUSTICE. Call today. Okay, our next matchup is the Sin Cara vs. Alberto Del Rio match, which was a really interesting matchup. Sin Cara injures his hand in the first 30 seconds of this matchup, which makes Alberto Del Rio incredibly angry, and proceeds to have a swearing, rage-fueled hissy fit in the middle of the ring, goes out to the apron and attempts to break Sin Cara's arm, or rip it off, and proceed to beat him with it, which is a perfectly irrational thing for Alberto Del Rio to do, considering this guy actually pulled a gun on him at one point. Seriously, WWE, why do you have Sin Cara working with Alberto Del Rio because of that incident? You know, it's just kind of not sensible there. Anyway, Alberto Del Rio regains his composure and proceeds to cut a heel promo on that he is the Latino hero. Unfortunately, Ricardo Rodriguez interrupts this segment for Alberto Del Rio and proceeds to tell him that there is an even better Latino hero than him. So basically, the Bucket and Ricardo Rodriguez decided to conspire against ADR. Okay then, he then brings out the Latino hero, Rob Van Dam. I personally would have preferred the Bucket in this segment because the Bucket can at least sell better than RVD and pull off spots a bit better than he can, but hey, RVD is one of the few guys on the roster that has two functional knees, unlike Rey Mysterio. So, okay, I'm perfectly fine with the RVD choice. But plus, Ricardo Rodriguez actually has charisma, unlike RVD, and can actually cut a promo, unlike RVD, which is perfectly fine. Next up is the tag match between the Primetime Players and the Real Americans. This was a really solid, well-booked tag team match between these two teams. I especially like the Antonio Cesaro hopping over Jack Swagger and hitting a Goomba Stomp on Titus O'Neil that basically looks amazing. And I also love the babyface finish that Darren Young pulled. He hits every single one of his spots to absolute perfection with the speed and precision that I have not seen out of him before. This was easily Darren Young's best tag team match to date, and he's had a lot of great tag team matches. So, I really do feel happy for the Primetime Players, especially since the tag team division seems to be getting a refocus in the WWE. I mean, the only thing that was holding the tag team division back last year was a large amount of injuries and wellness violations, which, is going to affect how you book a tag team division when one guy gets hurt or ends up in a wellness violation. So, I think this year they have a lot more tag teams, and they're also re-debuting some tag teams like Los Matadors, which are a repackaged Epico and Primo, which I'm perfectly fine with. I actually really like the gimmick, the wacky Matador gimmick. It's perfect for the tag team division. So, anyway, really solid, really well done match. Next up is an interview segment with Renee Young and The Big Show. Renee Young is trying to conduct an interview on The Big Show when Colonel Brad Maddox, who's dressed like Colonel Sanders, interrupts Renee Young and says that The Big Show is going to be in a 3-on-1 handicap match with The Shield because of the disparaging comments that he said to our great overlord in training, Triple H. The Big Show says, "Are you sure you really want to put me in a match with The Shield?" I think The Shield will be asking that same question too. I mean, as much as they like to do injustice, there's got to be like an injustice limit. It's like, a credit card limit. You can only do so much injustice a day. Like if somebody didn't pay their parking ticket, or a bunch of trees are in the way of you getting a perfect tan, or the vending machine doesn't vend you out a pack of chips. Yeah, I kind of see it sort of like that way. But again, the Shield is representing order in this case. Basically, they are the Undertaker. This is their yard, and they are going to commit any form of justice that they see fit on particularly the remains of the Attitude Era competitors, such as The Big Show, Christian, RVD, and a bunch of other guys. That's who they've mainly targeted thus far, as well as some young guys who they don't think deserve the spotlight. Which I completely understand. This is a fanatical paramilitary gimmick, which is a really good gimmick for these guys, and they work it to perfection. So anyway, after a really good, awesome backstage segment with Foot Locker and Fandango, who apparently has never been to a Foot Locker in his life, where he says these comments like, "So tell me, what is this strange place called a Foot Locker? I'm intrigued by it. By these shoes for dancing. Because I'm Fandango." Anyway, I really love these two because they just are like, they're so completely clueless as to what they're doing, and they basically have reprised the role that Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix did a couple years ago. It's really hilarious, and I get kind of a honky-tonk man vibe from Fandango's gimmick. And speaking of him interfering in segments, he's going to be interfering in a segment in Part 3, just to let you guys know. At a time. As we continue on with the final match of Hour 2, which is The Big Show taking on The Shield. The Big Show is a utility babyface heel who can be put into any spot on the card that you need him to be in. The Shield are really good as an upper mid-card healed gimmick, and I don't really need an explanation as to what they're doing with said Justice and whatnot, as I've said before. They basically are the destroyer of worlds in this matchup, and all 3 members of the Shield try to gang up on Glacier. Oh, sorry, that's the Big Show. I kind of looked at his outfit and was like, did he get an outfit from like circa 1996 WCW? Because, God, that's like really interesting looking. Is he like Glacier's super giant ninja cousin or something? Anyway, the cool outfit aside, the Big Show decimates the Shield for the majority of this matchup until they hit some shots on the Big Show's knee. Roman Reigns attempts the spear that ends anything and everything. Unfortunately, it bounces off the Big Show and causes Big Show to hit a spear that ends everything on his own, which decimates Roman Reigns because the Big Show is a far larger individual doing a spear, which looks absolutely devastating, and well-timed as well. However, the Shield's numbers game, which I have no problems with, decimates the Big Show, and they all pin him for the 1-2-3 at the same time, which I found really hilarious, and a really sound strategy by these 3 individuals. And that ends Hour 2. Tune in for the next segment for Part 3 of 3, and we'll be right back.